3. Hellenism. And then, during the time between Eber and Peleg and the building of the tower and the first city after the flood, which was founded in its actually building, came the beginning of taking of counsel and of autocracy. For Nimrod, the son of Cush the Ethiopian, the father of Ashur, ruled as a king. His kingdom arose in Orech, Arphal, and Chalana, and he also founded Tiras, Tubal, and Laban in Assyria. The Greeks say that this is the Zoroaster who went on further to the east and became the original settler of Bactria. The world's transgressions were spread abroad from there, for Nimrod was the originator of wrong doctrine, astrology, and magic, which is what some say of Zoroaster, but in actual fact this was the time of Nimrod the giant. The two, Nimrod and Zoroaster, are far apart in time. Peleg was the father of Reu, and Reu was the father of Serug, which means provocation. And I and as I have been taught, idolatry and Hellenism began among men with him. It was not with carved images, yet, or with reliefs in stone, wood, or silver-plated substances, or ones made of gold or any other material that the human reason invented evil for itself, and with its freedom, reason, and intellect invented transgression instead of goodness, but only with paintings and portraits. Nahor was born as a son to Serug and become the father of Terah. The making of images with clay and pottery began at this point with the art of this Terah, and with him the world arrived at its 20th generation, comprising 3,332 years. And the earlier man, no one died because his fathers died before the children and left their sons to succeed them. Never mind Abel, he did not die a natural death. But since Terah had set up a rival to God by making one with his own pottery, he was rightly repaid with the like of what he had done, and was provoked to jealousy himself through his own son. Hence, sacred scripture remark as with astonishment in Haran, died before the eyes of his father Terah in the land of his nativity, a kind of succession of Scythianism, and the name for it remained remained in being until his time. But there was no such thing as a sect yet, no device other than simply a first fornication, thinking as on idols. After that, after that, people made gods of wretched depots or sorcerers who had deceived the world by honoring their tombs. And much later, they made Cronus and Zeus and Rhea and Hera and the rest of them into gods. And then they made one by worshipping Achinaces, and the Scythian Soromatians made gods by worshipping Odysseus and the ancestor of Thracians, from whom the Phrygian people are derived. This is why Thracians are named for the people called Terah, who was born during the building of the tower. When emperor had its beginning history and had arrived at this point I have indicated, Hellenism began with Egyptians, Babylonians, and Phrygians, and they made a hash of men's ways. After the historians and chronicles borrowed from the impostor of the Egyptians' heathen mythology and conveyed it to the other nations, and this was how sorcery and witchcraft were invented. These things were brought to the Greeks from the time of Cheops, and at this time Ninos and Semiramis, Abraham's contemporaries, were living in Assyria, and it was the 16th Egyptian dynasty. But the only kings then were the kings of Sicyon, the kingdom founded by Europe.